Good morning, everybody. This is David again. It's going to be really hot today. Here's the look north from the Goodlettsville camera, and later this afternoon, this will be a look from the Goodlettsville camera as we heat up substantially. The Weather Service has got us down for a high of 96 in Nashville, same down in Williamson County, with a max heat index of 107 by early afternoon and up to 108 by late afternoon. What might help is if the storms that are on their way arrive around mid-evening, and last night we said we thought 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. The ETA window remains between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. We'll talk about that in a minute. The official max heat index for Nashville is 109 degrees. That means the humidity is going to be super high. We're going to be in the mid to upper 90s. So it's going to feel 109 degrees. That's going to shut down most outdoor activities for youth, and according at least to the Tennessee State Athletic Association, and most reasonable heat guidelines should limit or altogether cancel afternoon outdoor activities. Here's the heat exhaustion versus heat stroke. There are different things, and we have this up on Twitter. But remember, if you're faint or dizzy, you've got heat exhaustion. You need to shut it down. If you got a throbbing headache, you're not sweating, you're puking, you got a rapid, strong pulse, you need to call 911. You've got heat stroke, but just don't let that happen to you. Obviously, let's talk about the storms. The timing again is between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. this evening. The models continue to play a little bit with the timing. Last night we weren't sure that all the models agreed it's good as storm. Now pretty much in agreement that we will get some storms today. Here's the HRRR at 5 p.m. and you can see this is the latest run that it develops these at 4 coming up from Clarksville, and then just runs them into town around 5, 6, 7, and then they're gone by 8 o'clock. A different model than NAM 3 model. Has a little bit of a later arrival. It thinks the storms are lining up along the Tennessee-Kentucky line at 5 p.m. and then they drop south, kind of like they did last week. If you remember that one that came and rained really hard, lots of lightning, and some pretty bad wind came through. This one will take a similar path. Hard to say it's going to be as strong, but here, if you go run forward to 6 o'clock, this line is just hauling from north to south, racing really, really quickly into Nashville, and then by 7 and 8, it's petering out and moving on to the south. The Euro, same thing. It doesn't have as quite of an impressive presentation, but it has a similar timing around maybe even earlier, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. It thinks we're going to get a lot of rain in spots, but the line isn't put together. But again, this model image doesn't show the simulated radar like the others did. The hazards are, remember last night we said tornado was 0. Now there's a low tornado threat, but I'll explain. I think that's really going to be east of us. If you look at the Storm Prediction Center, they think that the tornado threat here, and I hope you can see this, is going to be east of Nashville. So we may not be included here in Nashville and Williamson County, but something to think about. But even so, it would be a 2% probability of a tornado occurring within 25 miles of you, which is a very low probability. I'm really not concerned about tornadoes. The biggest concern will be lightning, heavy rain, and wind, which wind being the biggest concern, with winds in excess of 60 miles an hour possible. Not everybody will get those, hopefully, and maybe nobody will, but that's the possibility. And on the scale of 0 to 5, the National Weather Service office in Nashville thinks that's a 3. There's a low hail threat, but you can't rule it out. You might see some small hail mixed in, kind of like we did with this north-south storm system that came in last week. And then the flooding, these are heavy, heavy downpours. They will be very efficient rain producers. It will certainly rain anything that you have out that's outside, but the question is when and where. I don't want to pretend that we have a certainty that we don't have, but it looks pretty likely. So that's where we are. The Storm Prediction Center is going to update its outlook here in a few hours, and we'll put that up on Twitter. But again, the tornado threat looks like 2%. The wind threat looks like 15%. That means there's a 15% probability of a damaging wind event within 25 miles of you. And then the hail event for us is not a concern of the Storm Prediction Center. It's up here in Minneapolis and on the other, really in the Midwest. But as we saw with that storm system that came through last week, you can get little small hail in there, but usually it's not damaging hail. So we'll be on Twitter if you have any questions, and we'll certainly be updating this through the day. Y'all have a good morning and a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.